I'd like to live a simple, quiet and slow life, but where do I get the money for that? Yeah, I really want to walk along the seaside every day, not once a year, or flutter through flowering fields and meadows in romantic feminine dresses. Or maybe just drink hot tea in a hut in the thicket of the forest, listening to the rain and reading a book. Every now and then I chop some wood or write down another deep thought, or just live a life of peace and relaxation in harmony with myself and nature. And now, my dear friend, you're gonna tell me I want that too. Who doesn't want a quiet and slow life for themselves? But is that possible in real life? You'll immediately imagine a whole bunch of options. Maybe I could find a quiet place to live with a quiet job nearby, where I could sit and look through a telescope counting the stars. And the money that pays for this simple task. At the end of the month, I receive the award for every star I open. One of them will be even named after me. Or I could watch turtles mating and basking in the sun. For a generous reward, I could record their loose morals in a notebook or on camera. You know, it's like working a little and getting a lot. Maybe I'd have a passive income, some investments, you know, all that good stuff. Or better yet, what if I suddenly had a rich uncle that paid for my here and now living expenses and took care of my future? While others are working like ants, you can afford to relax, enjoy life, and do only what your soul tells you to do. But you know what? My soul tells me nothing about ants, turtles, or the starry sky. It aspires, of course, for something higher, but where? Stop. You do realize that these are just dreams. It's unlikely that anyone will pay for a peaceful life, but it feels that there are still options. You believe it. You've seen people who are as good as you are and they are living the life you dream of. How do they do it? I don't know about them. If you want, I can share my story. I've been living the so-called simple and slow life since 2008. It just kind of happened. I didn't make a deliberate effort, I didn't plan it, but I think that if I had, my life would be easier and more peaceful than it was in the beginning. Everything just sort of happened, within a few days. Years of hard work, stress, burnout, conflict with management, jealousy and intrigue, as is customary in teams, especially creative ones. I couldn't stand it anymore and quit. Forever. I left the profession, my hometown. I went nowhere with practically nothing. I had no any additional profession or skills. I only had some savings for the first time. There was no safety cushion in the form of rich relatives or a spouse. My husband and I worked together on the same project at that time. So slamming the door and leaving was an emotional decision we made together. It felt like the end of life and all life force. My hometown seemed hostile and cold in the middle of summer. We left to the family house, where no one had lived for a long time, in the middle of nowhere, where only birds were fussing and only trains were making noise in the distance. And then we slowly began to realize how much that simple, quiet and slow life costs, and where to get this money from. In a nutshell, it'll be better if you figure out how you are going to make money before you start a new life. Otherwise, your slow and quiet life that you saw in other people's inspirational vlogs will quickly turn into the same feverish race for survival that you ran away from. It's just that all this will happen to the mocking giggling of birds against the background of indifferent nature. And then it could all end with the return of the sweet prodigal child to the native harbor. Unable to cope with the struggle for survival in new realities, you are ready to return to the old life, where everything is disgusting but familiar, where everything is routine and hectic, but there are at least some guarantees. Well, if you are stubborn and proud, you will endure all difficulties like we did, and you won't tell anyone about them. You'll leave the hardships and troubles behind the scenes, and show only the best and idyllic things for your social media. That's how it was for me. I got a lot of attention from people because I had a public job before. I felt like a butterfly behind the glass, with gawkers speaking at me, craning their necks and tapping out the same question on the glass. Where do you get the money for such an idyllic life, dear? They say that no one really cares about you. But my dear friend, if you start living differently from everyone else, you immediately become the object of close attention, and many who know you will be waiting for the end of this performance, and frankly, only a few will wish you success. Once you realize this, you'll hide from prying eyes. In silence and solitude, you'll make discovery after discovery every day. I don't know how to explain it, but you really feel like a butterfly that was a caterpillar only yesterday, and now it can fly. It no longer makes holes in a cabbage leaf, in one and the same leaf every day. Now it floats between giant flowers and trees in all directions and realizes that the world is much bigger and more colorful than that green and crispy globe of cabbage. But you won't be able to flutter for long. The butterfly stage is only a short vacation which can last differently for everyone, as they say, until the first frost. As the air temperature drops, you have to become a reasonable person. And you ask yourself a question: since this is my new reality, how am I going to live in it? What am I going to do? Fluttering gets boring faster than your money runs out. The fresh air of freedom is intoxicating at first, and then sobering, and in silence, the quiet voice of the soul begins to sound louder and louder. Well, you've managed to see that you're not a caterpillar, and not a butterfly, and not even a reasonable person. Do you remember who you really are? And you begin to wake up. You no longer think about how to earn money for firewood or food, for insulation of the floor or the roof. You want to find a business or hobby that you will do with your soul. The very one whose voice has become audible in this beautiful silence. Well, next you've seen. Some people grow fruits and veggies with love and make sauces and jams from them for sale. Some sew or knit to order. Someone becomes a quite successful farmer. Someone paints pictures, makes furniture or home decor items. Some is realized as a designer, an IT specialist, an investor, a psychologist, and even an astrologer. I found some things I enjoy doing. One helps me make a living, and others help me to grow and become more mindful. To be honest, my slow life has turned out to be more than eventful and exciting. I've even managed to bring hundreds of people to my remote place and interact with thousands. If you're interested, please let me know and I'll tell you more about it. Or maybe you have your own experience and understanding of a quiet and peaceful life, and I'd like to know about that too. A simple, slow life has helped me to better understand myself and my true needs. Now, I realize that it's much more important to find yourself, to hear the voice of your heart, and gradually transform from a reasonable person into a conscious one. This gives much more peace of mind and satisfaction. You don't have to quit everything and do crazy things like I did. After the years of experiments, I realized that even in the most serene environment, in the quietest place, it is impossible to find true peace if you do not have a clear understanding, well, at least a general understanding of who you are and why you came into this world. It seems to me that we all came for the same reason. Yeah, to find peace, but within ourselves. With love, your Rimma.